While I was on vacation, my family sold my house for $375,000 to save my sister's $210,000 debt. They thought they fixed everything, but I had other plans. My name is Lucas. I am a 28-year-old real estate agent who loves for color-coded calendars and open house suites. The oldest child is the default issue solver, carrying toolkits in his trunk and supplementary contracts in his glove box. If something spills, breaks, or cries in my household, it somehow becomes my responsibility. I wasn't the best child. That was my younger sister, Mia. She represented the tale, the drama, and the fire alarm. I was the fire extinguisher. People believe that becoming an agent entails luxurious kitchens and easy commission checks. It is not. It's 5 a.m. appraisals, basement mold, and clients who fall in love with the wrong property. Still, I enjoyed it. I enjoy placing keys in hands and saying, "Welcome home." Perhaps this is because home was always something I aspired to create for myself. Nobody could take me away from this tranquil, stable location. The night before my vacation, I stood in my living room with bags by the door and a travel pillow wrapped around my neck like a donut. Airbnb tenants had just departed. The cleaners had just finished, and I wandered around the rooms like I normally did. Count the windows, check the locks, and inhale the lemon cleanser. The backyard string lights turned on. Little gold specks on a dark yard. It looked like life. Mind text when you arrive. Mom stated on the phone, clipped and utilitarian. Don't post too often. You know how people get envious of me sitting on a plane for 10 hours. Lucas, that tone. Even though I didn't see her, I could picture the pinched smile. Just take care. I will. And if you speak with the bank, inquire about extending. Mom, I sliced in softly. I'm leaving at 5 a.m. We will chat later. There was a pause. Then she became soft. Have fun, honey. I will. I flew to Maui the next day. My first true trip in 4 years. There are no clients. There are no showings. Number. Can you come over and look at this water spot? My phone slept in airplane mode. I read along the beach. I fell asleep to the sound of waves and awoke early enough to watch the sand transition from gray to gold. A bartender taught me how to properly chop a pineapple. A child questioned whether I was famous because I was wearing sunglasses and walking quickly. I laughed more in 5 days than I did in 5 months. On day 7, I finally switched on my phone at the hotel breakfast, expecting a few texts about mail or shipments. My alerts lined up like a Jenga tower. Mom missed 15 calls. Dad gave me 10. Mia gives it 5. A message preview from Dad. An important update on the house. Call now. I gazed at the television. My heartbeat pounding in my ears. The papaya on my fork spilled on the plate. A server refilled my coffee and said, "Everything okay?" I nodded too soon. I did not call. I scrolled. Text after text, my breathing became tighter, and my stomach turned icy. When I finally hit the green button, Mom answered the first ring. "No, hello. Where are you in Maui?" I said gently. "Why?" she said, breathless and almost thrilled. "We did something for you." "What did you handle?" She stated your house seemed reasonable. It sold. My fork clinked against the plate. "What?" "You're welcome," she said. "You will understand after you hear the figures." I opened and closed my lips, and a youngster at the next table giggled at something his father said, and the sound was so natural and safe that it made my eyes burn. Mom kept speaking. "Don't be so emotional, Lucas. It's finished. Come home." I set the phone down on the tablecloth and watched the waves crash, pull back, then slam again. The noise in my mind changed from a white hiss to a piercing beep. Back home, in a house I'd built piece by piece, something had changed without me. Mia sent a notification, a single line, like a match dropped into gasoline. Finally evened the playing field. "You can always sleep on my couch." I did not react. I finished my coffee. I booked the earliest flight. I packed as my hands shook. And while I was packing my luggage, Dad sent me his last text of the morning, straightforward and proud. "It's tough medicine, son. But this is family. You will thank us." I said nothing. But I grinned a bit at the sink as the Hawaiian sun shone on the faucet, making it shimmer since the house they sold wasn't what they expected. My sister and I grew up in a 3-bedroom ranch that groaned whenever the wind shifted. Mom had a rainy day jar on top of the refrigerator and a scoreboard in her brain. The jar was for emergencies. The scoreboard was for me. "Lucas got all A's," she would say. "Good. That is expected." Mia received a C+. She'd clap as if the lights had just turned back on after a storm. A huge improvement. When I obtained my license, I drove Mia about. SAT tutoring, manicure appointments, and parties at which I waited outside with a fast food Coke while she danced under string lights and emerged smelling like other people's perfume. If I wanted gas money, Dad would reply, "Invest in yourself." If Mia wanted a new phone, Mom would remark, "Well, she needs to feel connected." At 19 I started working as an assistant to an agent called Jared, who wore loafers with small anchors on them. He taught me how to discern roofs from the curb, hear termites in walls, and keep my voice cool when sellers trembled. At 21, I passed my licensure exam on the second try and spent 10 minutes crying alone in my car. Not loud sobbing, just peaceful relief. That first year, I learnt traditional math. 8 showings for a single offer. You may breathe easier with 2 offers for 1 sale and 1 sale for a month. I wore my lone blue suit till the elbows became shiny. I treated clients to coffee that I couldn't afford. When an elderly couple hugged me at the end and said, "We couldn't have done this without you," I believed them. Which kept me going while I ate microwaved rice and eggs for supper. Mia considered taking a cosmetology course, becoming an influencer, and consulting for a friend's business. My parents dubbed it, finding herself. She found credit instead. By 26, she had a good car, 5 shop cards, and a penchant of posting champagne glasses with phrases like, "Work hard, play harder." I watched the minimum payments grow like vines. Money conversation in our family was always geared toward her. Mom would say, "Just until next month," slipping an envelope across the table. "We cannot let her sink." Dad would add that she has promise. I was part of the plan. Lucas will sort things out. Mom liked to claim he was good with numbers. I was good with numbers. Numbers purchased me what they believed was my home. When the market dropped 2 years ago, investors halted work on a new development near the park. Clean lines, broad wood, and large sliding doors. The developer panicked. I'd been facilitating their sales. I knew their lender. In that terror, I recognized my opportunity. My mentor's voice resonated. Control the asset. Control the result. I founded Willow Pine Holdings, a modest LLC with a $300 capital and a pretty dull operating agreement. Willow Pine signed a master lease on the land with the option to acquire at a certain price. I paid the first and final month's rent, as well as a security deposit from my money, and lawfully Airbnb'd the apartment to visiting nurses and families in between homes. The cash flow was stable. The option allowed me to buy when my finance was ready, or I could assign the contract to a customer for a fee if the market improved. I put my own name nowhere, no matter how casual I seemed. Not because I was hiding, but because I work in real estate and have witnessed family become inventive when they believe they are entitled to your belongings. I informed my parents I was going to remain there. It was simpler than discussing beneficial interests and right-of-buy provisions. I preserved the original documentation in a fireproof box and the scanned versions in an encrypted folder titled Taxes. The deed was not in my name, the lease was not under my name. Even the mailbox had a distinct silver plate that said WPH LLC, and Mia's numbers doubled. The car note is $642. 4 cards worth $17,300, $9,700, and $12,600, total $1,900. Personal loan of $28,000. Then comes the LEAP, an investor course financed at 19.9% APR. Following that came the silent things. She did not pay rent, and did not cancel her lashes. Dinners were charged to cards that smirked back at her in every snap. She texted me at 1 a.m. "Can you spot my $300? It is for a business purpose. I will pay you back on Friday." I saw her twice. She did not repay me either time. I told her no for the 3rd time. She told Mom. Mom said I was harsh. Mia stopped by the property the day before my vacation while I was changing light bulbs. "This place is so you," she remarked, twirling in the kitchen. It was a little dull. "Very neat." "It's a rental," I explained. She grinned. "You always downplay." She leaned against the island. "Do you know what is not boring? Hawaii." "Who are you traveling with?" "Myself." "Lame." She popped her gum. "Could you please Venmo me $600? I'll send it back on Tuesday." "No," I said. "Stop asking." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever. It must be nice to hoard." I watched her depart and typed in my notes app. "No more loans, no more rescues." I highlighted it. 4 days into my vacation, she shared a story with a drink in the message, celebrating big life moves. I swiped right past it. I did not want to know. My parents did what they normally do when they are worried. They termed it, handling something. Mia's debt had reached $210,000. $210,000. I learned the number later in black and white. At the moment, I just heard worry in my mother's voice as she said, "You'll understand when you hear the numbers." According to messages later shared in the family group chat, here's how it went. Mom, Dad, and Mia met with a cash buyer in a diner. Mom printed a Zillow snapshot of my property and placed it on the table as an offering. The buyer, with a shaved head and a golf shirt, offered to wire the payments within 24 hours if they signed a fast deed and a seller's affidavit. He would take care of the overdue taxes. There were no back taxes, but that was the limit. "Can we do it without Lucas?" Mom asked. "He's unavailable." "Does he own it?" the buyer inquired. "It's his house," Mom stated firmly. Mia inquired about the finder's fee if she assisted him in purchasing a second home. When I read that sentence later, I put down my phone and went down the hallway twice to avoid throwing it. The buyer printed a bargain bin deed form and placed it over a ketchup stain. My mom inscribed my name in wobbly block letters. Dad witnessed. Mia created a boomerang including the sold caption and a confetti present. The transfer arrived in their joint account the next afternoon. $375,000 less a questionable service charge. They spent $210,000 to save Mia. They paid off their automobile. They set aside a portion for a family trip. They gave me some time to recover. That was the part that nearly had me laugh out loud when I read it again. They believed they had addressed an issue, but it was not the one they expected. Because you cannot sell something you do not possess. Because the owner of record was Willow Pine Holdings, LLC, and the falsified signature was not mine. It was nobody's. And since the buyer, he did not purchase anything. He purchased a lawsuit. I returned on a red-eye flight. I sandpapered my jaw tightly. I didn't visit my parents' residence. I went directly to the property. A moving truck was in the driveway. My mother stood in the yard in her church sandals, hands on hips, supervising two boys as if she were a foreman rather than someone who had committed 3 distinct felonies in 48 hours. "There he is," she said when she spotted me. Her voice had that sharp edge that comes when she's already certain you're incorrect. "We were worried you'd miss us." "Miss what?" I inquired as I walked by her. The entrance door was propped open with a paint can. The home smelled like Windex and heated drywall. "Closing out," she said. "New owner wants to start renovations immediately." I noticed the new owner standing by the mantel, taking photographs like an influencer. Golf shirts. Same dude. He nodded, confident and bored. He didn't know who I was. He didn't know what I knew. Mia walked out of the kitchen wearing a blessed sweatshirt. She looked me up and down as if I were a visitor who had arrived without wine. "Hi Benny, how was Maui?" "I'm not doing this in the yard," I announced. "Everyone, go to the living room," I urged. Now they followed in the same manner that people do when they believe they still own the story. We sat. Mom crossed her ankles. Dad remained standing, hands in pockets, like he does when he expects to be acknowledged. The purchaser examined his phone. So Mom began cheerfully. "We made a tough call, but family comes first." I took a breath that seemed to decide for itself. "You sold a house that doesn't belong to you." Silence. Mom's grin twitched. "Do not be childish. It is your house. Everyone knows it." "No," I said. "It's a property that my LLC owns under a master lease with a documented option to acquire. The title is clean and my name does not appear anywhere. The deed you signed was not a deed. It's scribbles on paper." The purchaser stopped pretending to scroll. Mia snorted. "Oh my God, Ben. Nobody cares about your little paperwork games." I turned to face her. "Did you pay off your bill over the wire?" Her chin rose. "Yes." "How much?" She blinked. "I don't have to tell you that." "You do?" I spoke quietly. "If you use proceeds from a fraudulent conveyance." Dad moved forward. "Watch your tone." I met his gaze. "No." "What have you just said?" I maintained my voice level. "No." He gazed as if I had spoken in a language he didn't understand. Mom tries again. Voice honeyed. "Lucas, we have saved your credit. We pulled you out from under the mortgage. There was no mortgage," I said. I mentioned there was a choice. There was revenue. And there were renters with reservations through October that you just canceled in a group text as if you were rescheduling brunch. Her mouth opened and closed. The purchaser cleared his throat. Look, we can unwind this. You should definitely unwind this, I remarked, turning to face him. And call your attorney before you record anything, because if you cloud my title, I will come for your E&O and I will not settle. His face performed a rapid calculation. He stepped back. This is a family matter, he murmured faintly before slipping outside to take a call. Mom's eyes become flint. We carried out the necessary actions. Mia was drowning. Mia folded her arms. I'm not apologizing for not wanting my life destroyed. I rested my hands on my knees so they wouldn't shake. I did not ask for an apology. I'm setting a boundary. Dad sneered. Okay, here we go. Therapy talk. I nodded. Call it what you wish, but listen closely since I'm only saying this once. Everyone became silent in the manner that people do when they hear something strange and strong and suspect it is about them. This is not about vengeance, I explained. This is about closure. Mom laughed sharply. Closure? You are being dramatic. I stood. My legs felt stable. I have already contacted both the developer and the title firm. We are submitting an affidavit of fraud and a notice of interest to prevent any recording. The wire will be returned by your really helpful new buddy, and the buyer will move on to disturb another family. If the monies are not returned, we will refer the matter to a judge. In any case, you utilized my name in an inappropriate context. That is forgery. That is identity theft. I'm not going to contact the cops today because I don't want to have my mother arrested. I am, however, finished. Mom's voice lowered. Finished with what? Being your plan, I said. It's your rainy day jar. Being the one who takes from the safe and then expresses gratitude. Mia rolled her eyes. Oh, please. You behave like you're a saint. You hoard money and call that discipline. I call it rent paid on time, I told myself. I call it tax filing. I call it not stealing. She blushed. We didn't. You did, I said. And this is the last time. Dad pointed to the door. You can get out of our family if you're going to talk like that. I nearly grinned. I already did. You don't know what silence is until you shut off a group chat that's been screaming for years. I muted the family thread. I blocked Mia. I placed my folks on delivery mode discreetly. Then I drove to my office, locked the door, and inhaled so deeply that my lungs felt empty. My paralegal buddy Shay greeted me with a legal pad and a highlighter. Walk me through every step, she requested. Dates, times, amounts. I laid out everything. Lease, option, email, and Airbnb permissions. The buyer's contract appeared to have been taken from a forum and modified in Paint. The bank statement shows the $375,000 sent into my parents' account, then out to 5 other creditors like a fireworks display. We added names, numbers, and arrows until the page resembled a map of a city's veins. That afternoon, we filed 3 documents, a notice of fraud at the recorder's office, a cease and desist letter to the buyer, and a basic boring letter to my parents directing them to maintain records. No threats or exclamation marks. Boring is effective in real estate. The buyer blinked first. He phoned me that night. We were just trying to help them, he explained, suddenly human and little. No, I said. You were trying to make 20 grand flipping a title. He exhaled. My attorney says I should wire it back, I said. Then we both forget this ever happened. He did. 2 days later, the recorder rejected his deed. The county marked the lot as an attempted scam. The developer wrote me a 1-line email. Handled. I slept for 8 hours without checking my phone. My folks didn't let go lightly. On Wednesday, Mom made 6 calls. I didn't respond. She left 3 voicemails that sounded like the first, second, and third acts of the same play. Guilt, rage, and threat. Voicemail 1. You're misunderstood. We did it for you. Please call me back so we can solve it. Voicemail 2. I spoke with our pastor. He accuses you of bragging. Lucas, this is not who you are. The third voicemail. If you don't talk to us, we're going to tell people what really happened. I listened to them once. Then I saved them to the documentation folder and went for a stroll. Mia shared a story with a boomerang of herself tossing her hair and the phrase, "Haters gonna hate." Someone DM'd it to me with the message, "Your sister okay?" I typed and deleted 5 drafts. I decided on yes, and placed my phone face down. On Friday, Dad showed up to my office without an appointment and told my receptionist he was come to help his kid. Shay stopped him at the entrance, like a kindly bouncer. I need to speak with Lucas, he said. Shay grinned. He's not available. He attempted to push past. She lifted her eyebrow. He paused. Sir? She said gently. We've been put on notice regarding a fraud case. To safeguard everyone, please put whatever you wish to say in writing. He blinked as if the term fraud had a flavor. He departed. That weekend, I drove back to the house and sat on the floor of the empty living room. The string lights buzzed outside. The room had that post-cleaning fragrance of lemon and soap. In my mind, I saw it. Couch here, table there, a plant that would eventually die but looked wonderful for 5 months. I could purchase it right now if I wanted. The financing was clean. My agent's brain generated a list of rates and terms. My heart said, not yet. On Monday, Mom texted me a paragraph that began, "We're family," and finished, "You owe us a conversation." I responded with a single sentence. Everything you need to know is in the letter. 2 hours later, she wrote, "We were scared." I gazed at the 3 words until they blurred. I typed, erased, typed, deleted. Finally I typed, "I know," and put my phone aside before adding anything further. For a month, the texts arrived in waves, 17 in 1 day, none for 3 days, and 8 in 2 hours. My cousin Jacob showed me a screenshot of the family group in which Mia referred to me as a landlord leech. And Mom stated that Lucas is allowing people to stay in his home for money while his sister suffocates. Aunt Robin said, "But he has so much. He could spare a little." I did not defend myself. I did not send PDFs. I did not post receipts. I watered the plan on my desk. I addressed the client's inquiries. I presented a 2-bedroom apartment to a nurse who had worked nights for 9 years and sobbed when she saw the balcony, which faced east and she hadn't seen a dawn in decades. I handed her the keys and said, "Welcome home." That felt like fresh air. Then came the night, and everything came into perspective. Sunday supper. I hadn't been for months, but Dad contacted me at 3:14 p.m. "We'll eat at 6. You should be here." There was no inquiry, no apology, just an order. I went, not to fight, but to end things. When I came in, the table was arranged like a magazine photo. Roast chicken, baby's breath in a mason jar, and nice plates. Mia scrolled to the end of the table like a bored princess. Mom looked up with a forced smile. Dad poured himself water as though it were brandy. "Lucas," he said. "Good." Sit. I sat. No small talk. There's no weather. Mom dived straight in. "We've been thinking of a plan." I could feel something in me smile before my mouth did. Of course they did. "We understood," Mom said, "that we were a touch hasty, but the bills are real. Mia's flat is too pricey, yet she is unable to relocate due to her contract. So we need you both." I raised a hand. "Stop." Her eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" I held my voice steady. "There is no plan. Not with me in it." Dad slapped his palm upon the table. The plates leaped. "You watch your mouth in my house." I looked at him and talked calmly, like I do when a client is ready to make a bad mistake. "I will speak to you as an adult because that is who I am. I am not sponsoring Mia's life. I am not signing anything. I am not co-signing anything. I am not selling anything. I am not relocating anyone into any of my properties. I am not going to any gathering where I am outvoted 3-1 and told it is love." Mia sneered. "Are you just going to let your sister drown?" "She's not drowning," I explained. "She's swimming in a pool she can't afford and yelling at the lifeguard." Mom's voice became thin. "How dare you?" "Easily," I said. "Because I tried to be kind. I tried being silent. I tried offering modest sums, but it just drew me more into your mess. So now I'm testing the boundaries." Dad leaned forwards. "You're ungrateful." "For what?" I asked. "For many years I drove her. For many years, I was urged to be the larger guy. For the house you attempted to sell but did not own." Mom's eyes blazed. "We were saving you." I stared at them both, then at Mia, who had become extremely motionless, her phone facing down like a small black mirror. "You weren't saving me," I explained. "You were erasing me." Nobody spoke. The clock ticked loudly. I pushed back my chair. "I'm done for the night." I stood and then hesitated. "I will always respond if someone is sick or there is a genuine emergency, but I am not your emergency fund." "Not anymore," Mia snapped. "Are you simply going to walk away?" "Yes," I answered simply. "From this." I left. The door clicked behind me. Outside, the air felt like water. When I got into my car, my phone buzzed twice. 2, 3, and 5 calls. I watched the counter rise to 14, 21, and then 33. I switched the phone over with the light facing down and drove home in the dark. I slept. In the morning, I brewed coffee and listened to the silence. There are no texts yet. Then, at 8:07, someone came through. For Mom, I do not recognize you. I put the phone down and grinned. Me neither, I stated aloud as I took the first drink. After 3 months, the sounds faded. Mom sent forgiveness articles. I do not reply. Our entire script fits on one line. I adore you. I am not financing you. Dad is generally quiet. When he inquired about pricing, I responded as I would to any other client. Mia relaunched as accountability, ripped a card on camera and texted, "Are we okay?" I said, "We're adults." I took advantage of the choice and purchased the house for peace rather than retaliation. It was furnished slowly. 1 chair, 1 lamp, and 1 rule. Nothing I will apologize for. Some nights I sit under the string lights thinking, this is mine. Not the walls, but the calm. People want handcuffs, I want boundaries. Charity trumps lashes. Holiday card. No dinner. No, we will not waive inspection. I missed Mom's call without experiencing a gut drop. Love the state. The fee has changed. For years, the bill included my name whether I had ordered or not. I put down the pen. At the end, a teacher wept into my shoulder. Didn't think I'd ever get here. I know, I said. That night, I ate alone, my phone face down, and listened to the yard hum. In the morning, coffee, shower, shoes on the porch, Mom's voicemail, lasagna on her steps, no conversation. I did not go. I purchased a piece in the park. Simple. Mine. Closure isn't a given. It's time to choose who lives next door. I'm Lucas. I work hard. I love my family. I do not pay their expenses. If this makes me the villain, that's okay. I have a life to live.